another week and I'm back again. I think I like this idea of starting the podcast with a song. So here's one of my favorite ones. I love this song. I love the introduction. I love the sound of it. The King is coming in glory and in majesty. Every eye will see the King. The King is coming in glory and in majesty. Every eye will see the King. The King is coming in glory and in majesty. Every eye will see the King. Yes, indeed, the King is coming and every eye will see him. And so I love this song by Nathaniel Bassey. It's one of my favorite songs to play. And so I just decided to share with you. I think I like this idea of sharing some of my favorite songs with you. I will be doing this quite often. But how have you been? How have you been? I hope you've had an amazing week. If this is the first time you are listening to my podcast, my name is Amma. Some call me Mommy, some call me Tinker, some call me MFA, some call me Doris. I respond to all of them. I'm one and same. And this topic that we're going to treat today is something that I've been meaning to talk about for a while. It's quite subtle in how it presents, and it could be easily mistaken for love, affection, other than what it is. And what are we talking about? I just say when control is a bane is a topic today. And what do I mean? Do you feel isolated from family? Are you deprived of basic needs? I mean, is your time monitored? Must you account for spending time, who you spend it with, who you speak to, what they say, what they said to you, word for word? Even if you're trying to paraphrase, they'll say, oh, but I overheard you saying something else. They're repeatedly putting you down, controlling your situation, making threats and intimidating you, telling you things like you're worthless, you can't do anything without me. Does that sound familiar? Does that sound terrible if it doesn't sound familiar? Are you saying to yourself, but how the hell? It can't be me. But it is some people's reality. And it's not as if they are unaware or they can't see, but the dynamics shift in such a way and focus a manner that it becomes a cycle which they live, so don't even realize the ups and downs and the absurdity of the situation. So coercive control is what I mean. If you are experiencing any of these, if you've seen any of these patterns in someone else's relationship or life, then it means they are experiencing coercive control. So what then is coercive control? It refers to a pattern of controlling behaviors that create an unequal power dynamic within a relationship and causing the person to feel isolated. They become so dependent on the person who's doing the isolation that they deprive them of support, independence, and they regulate their behavior. So when I say they regulate your behavior, they want to know who you're speaking to so they can regulate the things that you say to them. They flare up when they feel that whatever you said to that person is inappropriate in their opinion. And when you think about it, it might not even be appropriate. It might just be day to day having a conversation with someone who's your friend, who's part of your family, and who's just someone that you like to speak with, right? A coercive controlling person doesn't want you to have any other relationships that they see as friendships to the one that they have with you, because other they cannot control what goes into those friendships. So what you see is that coercive controllers try to appropriate your friends. They insert themselves into the friendships that you have. They try to take over the friendship and also become a friend to the person because they want to be able to control the narrative. Immediately, a coercive controlling person is unable to come in between a friendship. They try to find faults with the friendship. They try to dictate who you should speak to and who you should not speak to. They try as much as possible to make sure that they make accusations preventing you from actually being friends with those people because they can't appropriate that friendship, and that sense of not being able to control it irks them so much that they have to damage it. So anything that they can say, do to damage those relationships, they will, because at the heart of every coercive behavior, in fact, at the heart of every abusive behavior, is control. They need to control their narratives about you, their narratives about the relationship, their perception of you, the idea that they have of you, and the submissiveness or subservient role they need you to play because it makes them look good. It's very dependent on how they portray you. And so they create this dynamic of they are always right, you're always wrong. Nothing is ever good enough in their eyes. They criticize your parenting if you're a parent, your cooking, your cleaning, your clothes, your hair, how you drive, how you keep your car, where you park, who you talk to, how you sit, how you sing. I mean, I've had people tell me that, you know, you go to a party, you're having a good time, and then a coercive control person will say, oh, you're dancing too much. Oh, don't dance. Even during church, I've had people say their abusers have told them, don't sing loudly. You are singing too loudly. You are shouting too much during praise and worship. You know, and that the funny thing is, I mean, aren't you supposed to be praying yourself? You're so fixated on controlling the person that you're actually listening. I mean, with all the instruments and the loud voices and the people singing over the microphones, you're able to pick up the sound of your partner and are able to tell them that they are singing loudly or their voice is too loud. It's just a control thing, because immediately that happens, they just lose focus and they keep quiet. That sound absurd to you? It is some people's reality. So the essence of coercive control is just for you to be quiet and for you to do the bidding of the abuser. The situation will not escalate if you do as they want, if you act as they want, if you don't question what they tell you to do. Now the situation quickly escalates because you questioned them, or you said, what is the meaning of this, right? The nature of abuse is such that a victim will question their abuser at some point. And what this means is that coercive abuse control is always a precursor for physical abuse. I don't know anyone who's been through physical abuse who hasn't been through emotional, verbal, financial, spiritual abuse. I don't know anyone. I don't know anyone whose first experience with abuse was being hit. No matter what happens, words will be said before you are hit. There's some kind of verbal, emotional abuse before the physicality of the abuse manifests. It can take months for it to manifest. It can take a year. It can take years. Like I said in one of the books that I read, somebody had been married for 15 to 16 years, and the woman said, this is a pastor's wife, and they had a good relationship till 15 years later. They were driving somewhere and she suggested to her husband that, oh, let's ask because they were missing. That was the day she received her first slap, and subsequently she received all manner of physically abusive torture during the duration of the marriage, so she left. So it took 15 years for him to physically hit her. When you question her, you realize that indeed there was a lot of verbal controlling behavior, that she didn't place it down to just, we're trying to build our little niche, you are my best friend, you're all that I have, I'm all that you have kind of thing. And the subtlety of coercive control makes it difficult for victims and people around them to even identify that as abuse. It's just I remember one of the stories I read on thecut.com of a woman called Maya Raghu, who was trying to say that in jurisdictions like the United Kingdom, France, and then the Tasmanian state in Australia, those are the 3 jurisdictions in the world that have criminalized coercive control because of the effect that it has. It comes with PSTD, like all the trauma that physical abuse comes with, coercive control comes with it as well. And bear in mind that the coerciveness begins and pushes into other forms before it becomes physical. From my experience with all the groups and therapy sessions and everything that sister support groups that I know, the stories are very similar. The stories are the same. You will not find that the physicality came first. There's always a precursor, and the precursor is always some form of coercive controlling behavior, because they need to be able to control you so they can, control the narrative that goes out. So she said that her abuser would leave flowers and gifts on her car while she was at work. Meanwhile, this would have been before a bout of perhaps verbally abusive words, emotionally abusive, psychologically abusive words. And her co-workers would see that as a sweet and thoughtful thing. But to her, the items represented a very implicit threat. The flowers told her that her abuser could drop in and check on her to see if her car was there, to see if she had gone anywhere, to see that she was not independent of them. And, just violate their personal space because they knew what they were doing, and you can't explain such a thing to someone who hasn't been through it, because they will think that you are doing the most. Immediately, a victim hears that story, they go like, oh, I know what you mean. So when she decided to go to the police about this, they were like, well, are you crazy? Do you know somebody's showing you that they can? She's like, you don't understand. So when it comes to covert abuse and things like that, it's difficult for people to even see beyond the facade of the abuser's behavior and to understand it. And so it becomes difficult for victims to talk about things like intimidation, surveillance, isolation, they always want to spend time with you, or they always want to be with you, that kind of thing. So you just find it odd, Hawaii and California also have coercive control cases, coercive control laws. They've criminalized it also. So it's really difficult, because you find that victims suffer a lot. They just go through so much. People ask, should it be criminalized? Should it be something that you want to talk about in that sense? Should it be illegal? It should be, because it's a precursor to everything that the victim goes through. It's like you are basically held like a puppet. And so they pull the string and you follow. They pull the string and you follow. They pull the string and you follow. Otherwise, you will be punished. If you don't follow their cue, you will be punished. And so every action is an implicit threat in the eye of the victim. They understand the language and they understand the consequences of the controlling behavior if they don't toe the line. Right? If they don't toe the line, they understand. Coercive control, like I said, it includes physical violence, it includes sexual coercion, it includes humiliation, intimidation, degradation, isolation, deprivation, exploitation, regulation. A lot of people think they will regulate your time at work. They are regulating when you get back by calculating what they think should be the time that you ought to get home from wherever you're going. So if in their minds it should take you 45 minutes to get back from work or from the market or the shop or grocery shopping, from dropping the kids in school, from doing whatever you need to do, they want to be able to regulate that time in such a way that in their minds you can't go anywhere else but be where you are at a certain point. If by any chance you are not there, you would have to account for the time and why you are where you were. If you don't have a good explanation, even if you stop by somewhere else, it comes with threats later on of, oh, you were sleeping around so you took time off to do this, or you are making friendships that are necessary, or you're disobeying them, or whatever. So coercion will mean things like beating, pushing, slapping, strangling, threatening, they force us, and then it comes into unwanted sexual activity. After they've done all of this, they also want to establish sexual control. So in the case of a married couple, they will say that, well, it is my right to have sex with you. So no matter how you're feeling after I've pushed you around, I've belittled you, I've intimidated you, I have insulted you, I have deprived you, I've exploited you, I've regulated your behavior, I've degraded you with insults and humiliated you, I still want to be able to have sex with you. And so, my darling, do as I want. If you don't do it, you are depriving me of a pleasure that you are required and obliged to give me. And so, at that material moment, you become an object. You're not partaking in an intimacy that you want, because you don't even have the mental faculty to be able to process those thoughts. Did you hear what I said? Sometimes I talk about these things and I'm like, okay, where did those words come from? But I'm saying that coercive control comes to sexual coercion, where the abuser will force unwanted sexual activity. We're not ready for this conversation of marital rape. I saw Simi doing her woman challenge, nobody like woman, and some of the posts that they posted, and one struck me. A woman said, "You are the wife. What do you mean you are his wife? What do you mean he raped you?" And I laughed, because in domestic abuse circles, it is what it is. Marital rape exists, especially after being beaten, after being humiliated, sometimes weeks, days, months of abuse, and then their perpetrator comes and uses sex as a tool because they know that they are married to you. So you dare not say I can't have sex, because then it means that you are sleeping with someone, you don't want the abuse to continue, then it means that they've lost control over you. So with dying, no, I can't. Can we do it tomorrow or later because I'm not okay? No. Look, people have been known to be slept with by their husbands when they are in tears, they are broken and whatever. And they still go ahead. They don't even care about the mental and emotional. That's cruel well-being of their spouses. Abusers will threaten victims through intimidation. I will kill you. I will throw your things out of the house. I will stop you from using the car. I will not give you an allowance. I will not give you the money that you need for XYZ. I will not give you money for upkeep money. I'm not paying the kids' school fees. Do it yourself. Meanwhile, they are fully aware of the other responsibilities that you are holding your own end of the bargain to and being a supportive partner. But then because they know that they will that control and those things are important to you, no, they will use it as a tool. Anything that is important to you, be it a friendship, be it your kids' education, be it your emotional well-being, be it your parents' well-being, your financial well-being, your social well-being. Once the abuser knows and understands that that thing is important to you, nothing should be important to you more than their well-being, they will come for it. They will use it as a tool to diminish you, right? So they will degrade you, they will insult you, they will make you perform acts that are based on your insecurities. They will do things that will enhance your insecurities, ask you questions. So for instance, if you've had a cycle of abuse in your family, and typically people who've had abuse in their family tend to go for people who come and re-abuse them and re-traumatize them, because that's what they understand. They are so used to being given that they give all of themselves thinking they are enough and that it won't happen to them. But the abusers are smart, and so they use that trauma and re-traumatize you, and they say things to you like, oh, are you going to end up like your mother? Do you think there will be a separation or whatever? Because they know that you don't want it that way. Or do you think we'll still be together when we're old? Because there's a separation in your family. So they are guilt stripping you, degrading you, because it's an insecurity. They cut you off from sources of social support that will help you identify the abuse that's going on, because they know that immediately that happens and your eyes are open to the abuse, there's a problem. They can't control you again. So exploitation, they will exploit you like a servant, They will exploit you like a servant. Victims understand me. Like, do I need to shout? Or you want me to lower my voice? You want me to lower my voice? Because the volume is loud, isn't it? Because they will exploit you. So sometimes it's crazy, but exploitation within romantic relationships, it is a thing. You will think that it's not, but it is a thing. They will regulate your behavior, how you go about your daily life. You can't move without saying, I'm going here. You can't do anything without checking back with them. I'm not talking about being respectful of where both of you are going to be and having a job, because of course your spouse needs to know where you are at, who you are with at any moment in time, not because they need to regulate your behavior, but because it's a mechanism to keep both of you safe, to keep both of you accountable, and to keep both of you respectful of your relationship in such a manner that I believe there should be no time where you have to hide something from your partner, because it will be misconstrued, it will be taken out of context, it will be used to label you, it will be used to accuse you, it will be used as a rope around your neck, and just citing the news when they want, because that's not the understanding which you try to explain to them. But no, they can't be bothered, honestly. So it's a really difficult situation. If you're assessing what coercive control is, can be extremely difficult sometimes, because victims don't even realize that is what is happening. And it is always an instigator of conflict. Coercive abuse control is always an instigator of conflict. It's always an instigator of conflict. That's why, even though criminalizing it it's okay, what it does is it is a precursor. So the actual crime is preceded by the coercive control. I don't know how to explain this in a manner that will be simplistic, but before an abuser will do something that will physically hurt you and all the emotional trauma that they take you through, they need to be able to control their narrative of you, because whatever narrative that they are creating about you is their alibi. Yes, it is. Whatever narrative that they're creating about you, for them in their minds, is what they're going to say, always the excuse that they're going to use for abusing you. Mind you, there is absolutely, and I repeat, absolutely no excuse why anybody who claims to love someone will in any way subject, reduce, and treat them in such a manner that it will affect the victim in a way that is traumatizing, that is degrading, that is humiliating, and that gives them even diseases like autoimmune diseases, heart palpitations, stress, trauma, PSTD, that's post-stress traumatic disorder, and all manner of things, stomach dysentery, heart. I mean, the list is endless. Pain in the body, general body pains, headaches, migraines, name it. It is there. And so if you say you care about someone, under no circumstance, absolutely under no circumstance, should you do that to the person that you claim to love. And so I find it really difficult when people will say that, oh, I did it out of love. Love, that's not love. Coercively controlling someone is not love. Love is kind, love is patient, love is giving, love keeps no record of wrongs. That is the absolute opposite of what abusers do. They keep record of your wrongs. They are unkind. They are impatient. They are not trustworthy. They don't keep to their words. And everything is your damn fault. Every single thing is your fault. You are not ever good enough for whatever it is that they need you to be. And they keep on shifting the goalposts every given time, because they need to create you in a particular light. They need to paint you in a certain way. And so, like I said, coercive control is what it is. Isolating you from friends and family. They will get their partner to reduce or cut contact with their support network. And then it makes it easy for them to control you. They might even prevent you from going to social events or being alone with your support network in case somebody talks about their issues about your relationship. So they keep on asking you things like, are you gossiping about me? In local parlance here in Ghana, we'll say, who do me Hong Kong concern? You know, that kind of thing. So monitoring your activity, wanting to know where you are at, who you are with, calling and texting excessively when they are not with you. People who don't understand that this is coercive control will say, hey, your spouse keeps calling you, hey, they love you, hey, they love you. When you try to tell them no, they just want to know where I am, so they know who I am with, so they can tell like, oh, wow, oh, I wish my spouse would do that. My darling, you're better off. Don't even wish anything for yourself that you don't understand, because it is not as you think. Monitoring your emails, checking your social media messages without your permission. Extreme cases might involve even placing cameras or recording devices in the victim's home or car to track them, and GPS and spyware. And this is considered stalking and harassment. Restricting autonomy. The abuser's main goal is to take your freedom and independence away from you. So they restrict access to vehicle, hiding your devices, changing passwords, deleting your apps. I've had people tell me they've had their abusers delete their period tracking apps. They've deleted them. Why? You're going back to your phone to go and see, when is my period due? It's deleted, gone, boom. They've deleted it. For what? For what exactly? you know. In some cases, now you sit at home to take care of the kids. They are grown now you want to chase your dreams and your ambitions, and so they start saying things like, oh, let's have another baby, and like, oh no, I've had 2, I've had 3, I've had 4, I don't want to have any more. Now I've raised them at the age where I feel like I'm comfortable, I can leave them alone and go pursue my dreams. Oh, it would be nice to have one. So now that you have your period tracking app on your phone, you will be sensitive to when you can get pregnant and when. So it's a control thing. They delete it, or they will accuse you of sleeping around, so you want to track your period so you can be sleeping around. Like, it's crazy. Something as simplistic as a period tracking app can actually bring conflict within the coercive controlling situation. So can you imagine? They will degrade you, like I said, it's to bring your self-esteem, so criticize you in such a way that they'll bully you, try to put your foot on the edge of the car so you can have a good grip to sit down. You've made that part dirty. Why can't you just stretch your leg and make sure that it gets into the car proper before you, instead of putting your feet along the edge? Don't sit in the car in a certain way. Use a smaller bag because your big bag will scratch the dashboard. Oh, name it. Financial control. Coercive control can involve financial abuse, because the abuser will withhold amounts of money from you. If you've had an agreement for them to give you an allowance, every time they're upset, the allowance won't come. They shift the goalpost of responsibility every time, so you have to always figure out what to do. They are jealous, they are possessive. A little jealousy isn't uncommon, but in abusive relationships, the abuser will constantly accuse the victim of cheating to control them, because they don't want you to be friends with anyone. So they can make the victim feel guilty about spending time away from them, or simply make them avoid going out altogether because they don't want to deal with accusations, and accusations just break you down, especially for the lies that they are, and they create impressions about you to people who don't even understand the situation. They tell lies, they make up stories just so they can accuse you and control a certain narrative about you. So controlling partners often act jealous and possessive to reduce their victims' contacts with the outside world. It's as simple as that. Any relationship that is not one that they approve of must be something that they can control. Like I said earlier on, once they can't control it, they have to accuse you of something so that it reels you in. So they use threats and intimidation, so that might involve your own safety, that of your children, your property, your family, and all manner of things. And so this is not an easy thing for a victim to go through. It's not, because you're trying to keep yourself safe. If you have your children, you're trying to shield your children. You're trying to keep your sanity. You're trying to keep your friendships that mean something to you, because the abuser is bent on just damaging all of those things so they can have access to be able to control you, because they need you in a certain position for their coercive control to work. If you're going through any of this, it's not normal. Neither is it the ups and downs of marriage. Neither is it love. Neither should anyone go through this. It isn't right. It is absolutely wrong. It is horrendous. And it should not be countenanced. If you know anyone going through this, you know and understand that sometimes they can't separate the reality from the fiction, because all they know is to survive, and they are just running out of themselves to make sure that the perception that the abuser has projected on them, they are discarding it. So it's like you are trying to swim out of water and somebody keeps on pouring a lot more water on you because they want you to drown, so they can say, oh, there, I said it, I told you this person was not good enough, or they are this way or they are that way. But I just want you to know that you're worthy, you're good enough, you are an absolute beauty made of God, and you deserve love, you deserve respect, you deserve to be treated fairly, and you deserve to be honored as well. Never let anyone make you feel like the God who made you to be the footstool for someone. No, it is wrong. And if you're abusing someone, understand that one day they will wake up to the bullshit. No sugarcoating of words. They will wake up to it. And so, like I always say, understand that abuse is meant to damage you. It's meant to hurt you. It's meant to keep you subservient. It's meant to make you feel like you have to be deserving of the time, effort of the person. And so just lay and play dead. That's why I love Tiwa Savage's song that says, somebody's son, Tiwa Savage and Brandy, the song, the somebody sang, will find you one day, because it's like an anthem for women who've been through so much, because why not? You're deserving. So that's our outro for today. Try again. Running. Heartbreak song. Somebody's son go find me one day. Don't stay with, don't stay too far away. Somebody's son go love me one day. Don't stay with, don't stay too far away. Somebody's son go love me one day. Yes. You're deserving of love. So I believe love should not be filled with strife. So yeah, somebody's son will find you one day and they will give you the love that you're deserving of. So don't let anybody tell you otherwise. As always, my name is Tinkerbell Erifa. I love you. Thank you for spending this Friday evening with me. And reach out, send me a message, send me an email, just talk to me. I love you, and do remember to share the podcast as well, and take care of yourselves. COVID is still out there. We seem to have forgotten, but be safe.